In this video, we are going to work on a sequence of a bouncing ball using a motion graphics approach. And to start, we are going to create a new Harmony project. And I'm going to name this week one underscore bound ball underscore motion graphics B1. And I'm keeping the name short because Harmony doesn't like long names. I'm going to find the location for my project on the server on our W drive. You should have access to our animation 2350 folder. I have one that I already created in that section 2. You have to find the one that connects to your class, and I created one with my name. You're going to create yours with your own name too. And inside of that folder, I'm going to create a folder for one. I'm going to create one here. Right click, I'm going to say new folder. This one is going to be week 01 underscore bouncing ball underscore motion graphics. That's different from the standard bouncing ball. I'm going to go into this folder. See if I can get in. There you go. I'm going to select that folder. We're going to keep our settings as HD 1080p, 24 frames per second. And I'm just simply going to click there. For some reason, it's not letting me save it. Let me see if it's having a hard time with the naming, maybe. Yeah, it's a bit too long. So I'm going to just to shorten here. Okay. I'm going to create my scene. It's going to take a few seconds for it to build it up. Okay, so the program was launched, and I'm going to click one on my keyboard to zoom out a little bit in my camera view. And I am going to create um, a color card for my background, and on this drawing, actually I'm going to delete this layer. I'm going to right click or delete that layer. I'm going to create a new one, a new drawing, but this one I want to make sure that extended exposure for the duration of the sequence. The sequence is going to be actually longer than this, but for now it's going to be just enough. Okay, that sequence I'm going to actually want to just make it longer to about 150 frames. There we go. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're going to just bring the sequence. We're going to use this video reference that shows a bouncing ball. Uh, this video reference, by the way, is at 25 frames per second. We're doing at 24 frames per second, so the difference is not much. We're going to take the timing and the spacing from this video and apply it to our animation. We're not rotoscoping the video, of course. We're creating our own animation based on the information that the video gives us. If I play the video, this video actually has a nice thing, and it is that the people who created it have measurements on it that makes it a lot more interesting. And also, they made a graphic showing us the bouncing effect, and with a proportional reduction. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to replicate this sketch in my file, and I'm going to use that my version of the sketch as my template to build my animation. So I'm going to pause my recording here. I'm going to create that sketch, and then we'll continue from there. So this is my version of that bouncing ball. So it's simply just my timing that is counting one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 bounces roughly. And I'm going to apply here now my counting of frames. And those frames actually come from the video. And what I did was I opened the video with my program. In this case, actually, not Media Player. I used QuickTime, and or you can do it also on YouTube using your keyboard to be able to go frame by frame and count the different frames that the sequence has. I already did that count, opening the file with QuickTime, and I'm going to put that information here on my file. So let me just pause my video one more time, and I'll be there when we get it. So I'm gonna pause for now. Okay, so here I am back with my counting of frames, and I have to, of course, explain that in the beginning it was very easy to measure count the frames, but when they were going lower in amount of every frames every bounce, got a bit harder. In some moments I got seven or six frames here, maybe it was five. So I tried to round them up so I could have an easier way to animate it. So and when I rounded it up to the lower number. Still, we're going from 25 to 24. So trying to reduce the numbers of frames a little bit. So this is a my initial sketch. I'm going to rename this sketch. So that way I'm going to use it. I'm going to save my file, and I am going to now create another layer with my ball object. So let me just zoom out here, and I'm going to go create another layer here. This is going to be a drawing layer. I'm going to keep it in vector. I'm going to keep it extended. If you don't have it extended, let's say you do it just as a single frame. Well, let's see, add and close. You know, if you tap here and you draw your object, I'm going to use ellipse so it makes it easier. I'm going to draw my object. I'm going to draw it. I can draw it here on the location where it's going to be animated. I'm just going to hold shift and animate it right there. Actually, I need to change the color to vectorized line. Let me do that again. The vectorized line, and I'm actually going to change the properties of that object to be a bit of a thicker line. I'm just going to go and to this, which is going to be my base object. And I'm going to apply in that object as well a color. Simply, just going to give it, I'm going to create a new color for the ball. I'm going to call it ball and double click on it. And let me just give it a nice vibrant color so I can easily detect it. A bit more reddish, orangey tone. All right, I'm gonna say okay, and then I'm gonna apply that color there. So that's my ball on my first frame. I need that first frame to be animated all the way to the end. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna just click with my pen or your button or your mouse. I'm gonna say, actually, my Wacom doesn't let me show the whole menu. So just bring this up. Do it one more time. All right, I'm gonna say cannot see it still. Let me see if I can stand it there. Okay, it's just that my Wacom doesn't let me see the window completely, so I have to move it all the way up. I'm right clicking with my mouse on the frame. I'm gonna say extend exposure, and that's going to extend it. I'm going to extend it to frame 150. That way, the object is all the way to the end, so I can bring it down now. And if I go to scroll through any amount of time, it's all there. So that way I can go and animate it. Okay. So before we start animating our file, we need to keep in mind a couple of things. One of them is because we're going to use a motion graphics, paths type of animation. um, we need to make sure we provide the right information to this object to be animated. So one of those things is that we need to open up our layer properties window. And while I'm having this file layer open, I'm going to click on that object. Let me just call it again. And in the position part, I'm going to change this from separate position to 3D path. That way, there's going to be a path that allows me to move object X, Y, and Z axis if I wanted to do a Z. We're not doing Z here, but still it will be beneficial. That's the one thing. The other thing is that we're going to need to make sure that under our says on the camera, we want to make sure that the control point tension is -1 and these other two are 0. That way, when we do curves, the curves are going to be correctly animated. So I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. I don't see the OK button here. My Wacom blocks so for some reason. Just hit enter on my keyboard here. So that was accepted. And now I am going to be able to start animating this guy. If I to animate this object, if I click on it, of course, if I try moving, I'm going to be moving to the center of it, or I'm going to be moving the components of it. So I don't want to be moving those components because the movement of the components is kind of modifying them individually. What I need to do is click on the transform now button, and the transform button allows me to um, move it, move everything together. Uh, but you notice that this object has now a um, key for a pivot point that is in the center of the screen. So when I bring this pivot point to the base of my object, that way that pivot point can be animated. Ooh, let me see if I can do it. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. And it is that to move the pivot point, I need to move it with this tool, the translate tool. When I grab that, oh shoot, let me just do it here. Grab it from the center, not from the arrow, but from the center, and put it right at the base, right there. Okay. If you don't have this tool visible, it's because you need to go to the toolbars and activate advanced animation to call that tool. So you can move it with this tool. Again, you have to grab it from the center. So I think my object is ready to be moved now. Now the pivot point is at the base there. So I'm ready to animate from there. So I'm going to stop my recording right now and we'll continue in the next sequence.